Alrighty. Today is Thursday, 22nd of February. It's been a month and like 10 days since my last video. I've been meaning to record this for at least the last 2 weeks, but so many things have happened, and a lot of events and a lot of distractions, and also just like so many new things, new positive things that keep happening, where I kind of have this feeling of like, oh, maybe I'll just wait a few more days and I have more to talk about. But anyways, so here we are now. I've been on Mars at Mars College in Bombay Beach now for over a month and a half, and I'm really having this overwhelming feeling of joy and positivity, and really this deep conviction, this deep sense of confidence that being here is the best decision I could have possibly done. And there's many reasons for this. So I'll discuss some of them now, and I might forget stuff. Things is not particularly ordered in order of importance, but here are some of the reasons why I particularly enjoy being here. So I think the first one, and maybe this is the most important reason, is being on Mars and having this really intense and really positive experience is something that I needed. I was craving an experience of this magnitude for years. And I found myself thinking in the last few weeks, thinking back or wondering when was the last time that I had an experience that I found this intense, in the sense that I had this really strong certainty that what I was doing was the only thing I wanted to be doing, and especially for an extended amount of time and of this magnitude. And I've had periods of this kind of feeling over the last years. One was this summer for a few weeks when I was building my fortune teller machine. Another one I can think about was back in 2018 when I was doing my startup. But those, I think, were maybe temporary or not complete, and for different reasons. There were like various aspects of my life which were not really fulfilled in those examples, and so the really the one example that I can think back to, where I last had this feeling of like, wow, this is an intense experience, it's amazing, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. That was probably in 2015 when I did my last road trip around Europe with my friend Romain. And so yeah, we had traveled together for 2-3 weeks around Europe in my car, and gone to some festivals, gone camping, stopped in Berlin to see some friends, and had a really awesome time at Ozora Festival. Really, really good feeling of closeness with friends, and I think that was kind of the peak of my whole, let's say, party era, which was I really identified with the party scene, the music scene, traveling and exploring the world with the purpose of partying in a way. So I'm very different now, but there was a sense of certainty that what I was doing was what I wanted to do. And so why I find Mars so meaningful is that it is showing me that it is possible to have this feeling again, which I haven't felt really probably for almost 10 years. And some part of me was kind of starting to lose hope, thinking like, shit, I'm approaching 30. Maybe, this is life. This is what life is about, like you enjoy your teens and your 20s, and then just life becomes boring and just shit, and there's nothing good coming out of it. And I didn't really believe that, but it's like I was kind of, waiting for something like, interesting to happen, and Mars is really that. So why? What is so interesting actually about Mars? So many things, but maybe some of the clear things I can discuss right now are it's a community of people who are gathered here with a common goal, a common intention, and there's something pretty magical arising from that. So the common goal and the common intention is to be creative, to collaborate, and to exchange skills and knowledge, especially around art and the use of technology in art and creativity. And so the people here, I would say, are exceptionally creative, curious, open-minded, and the fact that we are living together and spending so much time together, sharing meals, going through challenges. For example, when it rained and the desert got flooded, going through all these daily experiences together creates this really interesting bond, this closeness, and also gives a lot of opportunity for interesting conversations to materialize, and for ideas to emerge. So yeah, being here in a community, I think is really awesome, and that's definitely one thing that I had been looking for, at least in the last 6.5 years that I've lived in Berlin. Like, I really have been lacking a solid social circle, and here, being on Mars, it's like, it's here. This is it. Like, this is, I have people to share meals with. I have people to go on chats with. I have people to exchange my ideas with. I have people to do little projects with. So really, like, the vast majority of my social needs here are met, like, extremely easily, and on a daily or even hourly basis. And of course, this also comes with challenges, because sometimes I've felt the need to retreat and to be alone, and it's harder to do that when you have 40 people living around you and sharing the same spaces. But generally, it feels very good. And another important aspect that makes Mars amazing, and very much related to this community thing, is that we encourage each other to be creative and to try out our ideas. So if I come up with an idea of a project or an installation I want to build, or an initiative that I would like to take to improve camp life, or anything, we are really encouraged to just take ownership of it and just do it. There is no hierarchy. There is no leader, there's no kind of chain of command or complicated processes that we have to go through to get an idea approved. So there's really this feeling that there's no barriers to whatever I want to do. The only barrier is my own, internal, uh, like personal censorship, let's say. And so for me, it has taken a few weeks to kind of adapt to this and realize, like, oh, actually, I can just do whatever I want. And this is an incredible feeling of just do it. Just fucking do it. So in the last few weeks, I've organized, for example, kitchen meetings. It's like, hey, let's, meet once a week and discuss how the kitchen is working for us and have a little breakfast. And there's, 10, 15, 20 people joining who are like, yeah, cool, let's talk about the kitchen, let's have pancakes, let's have a good time. And it's like, oh, wow, that was easy. Just send a message and people come. Or recently I made an installation in the desert. So I've been walking around the desert and noticing this trash, like plastic bottles and such. And I thought it would be kind of nice and poetic to use those as diffusers for lights. So I had collected a bunch of plastic bottles and milk jugs and such, and positioned them in an area in the desert and put some LEDs in them, and created this space where trash lights up at night, and it's very cute and poetic. And so I did that this weekend, and it turned out that we were also planning, or other people were planning, a ceremony for midterms, which is basically the half point weekend after a month and a half of being on Mars, where we were having a lot of events and presentations and demos, essentially an opportunity for people to share what they've been up to so far. And so we had an opening ceremony for this weekend, and part of the ceremony was walking towards this space that I had created in the desert, and planting some seeds, watering them with a bit of water, and taking some time to reflect and kind of set intentions for the weekend. And that was just a really beautiful experience, and again was like, for me, this giving me this feeling of like, wow, like I just had this idea of creating this space, and I did it, and it got used for this really beautiful experience, and it's like, wow, just wow. Really cool. So this feeling that that anything is possible, that you're really encouraged to try out your ideas and implement them, and that there will be an audience of curious people to try out your project and to give you constructive criticism. That's really amazing, and that's something that's very hard to find, I think. People who are committed to supporting you and committed to supporting the community by being present. And there's a very loud plane. Oh wow, I don't know if you can see it. There's an army thing not far, so we see some fighter jets all the time. Anyways, this feeling of encouragement to just implement your ideas is really powerful. And maybe the last thing I want to talk about for today is that Mars College is definitely an alternative space, and it it attracts people who have an alternative view of the world. And what I find really interesting is that, when we say alternative, kind of the image that comes to mind is, hippies, long hair, beards, dirty, smelly, doing, I don't know, yoga, and just, kind of maybe a little bit out of touch with how the world works. And hippies have their points, and maybe their vision of the world is good, and even like, what is a hippie actually. But the point is that here on Mars, the people that are gathered here, I feel, are extremely open-minded, and have a healthy sense of criticism for how the world works, but also are very pragmatic, and in a way very well integrated to the world. So people tend to have jobs or professional activities that are pretty normal. A lot, definitely more on the creative side, but people are professional and involved, but they are still open-minded enough to commit to spending 3 months in the desert, living on a remote off-grid community, and doing things such as like community activities that's they're just like not the norm. Like the norm, I would say, in the Western world at least, is a lot on individuality, like spending time with your family maybe, but it's kind of rare, I think, at least from what I've seen, to see such a an interest in community, and also in just questioning a lot of aspects of how the world works. How do we exchange knowledge? What is the meaning of property? um, what is the place of technology? So I feel like I've found here at Mars, I've found a community of people who really share a lot of my values, and a lot of my views of the world, and also I've found myself a little bit influenced by what's happening here. I mean, actually very, very influenced on all of the things that are happening here, but maybe more specifically, like some of my ideas of the world, and the potential of community and such, come from this experience. Yeah. And maybe what I'll finish on today is just some examples of some things that I really like, that I would like to take home. So here's just a few items. So once a week, we get the community together and do an evening of talks. So they're called Thunder Talks, and basically they're just an opportunity for anyone in the community to get on stage and present something, whatever they're interested in. It can be some art project, it can be some technical tool that they use, it can be some explanation of how some aspect of the camp works, it can be explaining some natural phenomenon that happens. It can really be anything, and I think it's just a really beautiful opportunity for people in the community to just exchange their ideas. And so I could totally imagine doing this with some friends in France, or in Europe, back in Europe, in a way, kind of a private meetup, in a way.
So another thing, which is maybe more a concept, that I really like is this idea of encouragement to just try out our ideas. And so I could imagine, really, I really would like this actually, assembling a group of people in Berlin, for example, who are committed to supporting each other in their creative endeavors. And that means, sharing ideas, helping each other on technical stuff, but also being present as an audience to, to see other people's work, and also pushing each other. Because I feel like, this is one of the really amazing things about Mars is like this feeling of being encouraged to just do it. Yeah. I also really like the community kitchen thing that we have. So cooking for a large group of people, actually, I found this to be a really interesting challenge, but also very gratifying when you just see people flocking to the kitchen and really like digging into your food, and yeah, that's a really nice thing. So I would love to do more kind of like group cooking or cooking for a large amount of people. Let's say 10 to 20 people.
Okay, and one last and major thing that I want to take home, would like to take home, is actually the whole concept of Mars, which I would summarize as a creative retreat. So I would definitely be interested in trying to organize a creative retreat, possibly in France, not far from Paris, where I have an idea of where it could happen. Getting people together, committed to stay together for at least a week or two, to just brainstorm ideas, and maybe do kind of the same format that happens here, with a lot of workshops, a lot of presentations, a lot of collaboration, a lot of skill exchange, and maybe at the end a little exhibit where we actually open this to the public. Yeah, so this is something I find like a really, really great concept, and I think I'm not the only one to be that could be excited about this. So yeah, I think that's all for today. Yeah, generally just overwhelming feeling of positivity, and of like what I'm doing here is awesome, and really, really having a strong feeling that this is kind of a life-changing moment, that this is a milestone where I hope I'll be able to keep on the energy that I have here, and take it home, and yeah, maybe move out of this very, very long rut that I've been in the last years in Berlin. And I feel very confident about that. So yeah, I'll leave you with that for today. See you in the next one.